Yo, what's going on, guys? I hope you're all having a great day so far. And also, I am super excited to announce that I'm going to start making consistent YouTube videos from here on out. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and also drop a like if you guys enjoy this video, because this is going to be the type of content that I will be making on YouTube from here on out. So here goes nothing. And yeah, let's just get straight into the video. Alrighty, guys, I'm over here at the tier list, and it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to explain it for you guys real quick if you've never seen it before. So, A tier is the best, D tier is the worst, and I'm just going to go straight down the list. So, I'm going to go the Arizona Cardinals all the way to the Washington Commanders. So, here we go, and I'm just going to rank each and every single NFL team. So, first of all, the Arizona Cardinals. They finished last season with just a 4-13 record, and I'm going to have them at either the same record or one game worse. And here's exactly why. If you look at who they acquired this offseason, they have got nobody. Unfortunately, I'm not even over exaggerating. You could see it right here. Their best player they have acquired is Evan Brown, and their second best, who is wide receiver Chris Moore. I bet you not a single person on this video even knows who those two people are. The next team we got here is the Atlanta Falcons. Now, Atlanta finished with a pretty disappointing 7-10 record, but they not only played in the worst division in football, but they also got much better this offseason, in my opinion anyway, after acquiring quarterback Kirk Cousins. Now, they also got rid of Desmond Ridder, but I don't think that's going to affect their future, to be honest with you, because after Kirk leaves, they're going to have plenty of time to replace him with a new quarterback. So, the Falcons already have one of the best secondaries in the league, so I have extremely high hopes for them. I'm going to have them finishing the season either 9-8 or 10-7. So we'll see how they do next year, but yeah, I'm going to put the Falcons in B tier. Up next, we have the Baltimore Ravens. Now, Baltimore was able to acquire Derrick Henry, as most people know, this offseason, but they also lost Patrick Queen in the process, who is one of the better linebackers in the league, to their division rivals, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I don't think that's going to affect them enough for them to go like all the way down in my tiers ranking. I still am going to have Baltimore in my top 5 teams list going into this 2024 season. And yeah, we'll see how they do, but hopefully they go 0-17. Up next, we have the Buffalo Bills. Now, Buffalo has been, especially over the last 5 years, one of the most dominant teams that we have ever seen in the regular season. But for some reason, when it comes to the playoffs, and especially the AFC Championship, where they've played Chiefs 4 times, they cannot get past it. But that does not take away from the fact that Buffalo is still a top 5 team in the NFL, and hopefully, and I would love to see them be able to get over that hump and make it to the Super Bowl this year. Now for the Carolina Panthers, the worst team in the NFL last year. They finished with a 2-15 record, and nobody was even close to as bad as this team was. But this team this year not only has Jadeveon Clowney coming off the edge, they also have a brand new weapon and wide receiver Deontay Johnson, who is going to pair very nicely with Adam Thielen. So the Panthers, although this year I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, I'm going to up them up into a C tier. I'll have them around 5 or 6 wins going into this 2024 season. And yeah, we'll see how the Panthers do, but I have high hopes for them in the future. In my opinion, the next team that we have is going to be the hardest to predict here in 2024, and that is the Chicago Bears. They not only are going to have a new quarterback this year, but their team is going to look different just in general. They also are going to have a brand new running back in DeAndre Swift, and they also acquired cornerback Jalen Johnson as well in free agency. We'll see exactly how the Bears do this year, but depending on how Caleb Williams does, this team could be as low as 2 or 3 wins and as high as 9 or 10 wins. We'll see how the Bears do this year, but I'm going to go with the safe route and have them finishing at about 8 or 9 wins, and I'm putting them in B tier. Now for the Cincinnati Bengals, if Joe Burrow plays, they're at S tier. If Joe Burrow doesn't play, they're D tier. I'm going to say he plays and they're at S tier at like a 10-7 record. Up next, we got the Cleveland Browns, another AFC North team here. The Browns finished with the best overall defense in the league last year, which is definitely going to help their cause going into the season. And also, they had the best running back in the league in Nick Chubb. But Deshaun Watson underperformed a lot last year. And there's got to be one team in the AFC North that underexceeds their expectations. And in my opinion, that is going to be the Cleveland Browns this year. I have them finishing with a 9-7 record, or 9-8 record, I should say, and finishing last in the AFC North. Up next, we have our very first NFC East team, the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys every single year always have a top 5 offense in the league, and I don't think that's going to change at all going into this 2024 season. And I believe they'll have a top 15 defense as well with help from Parsons. So we'll see how they do this year, but I have them finishing over the Eagles once again this year with a 12-5 record, and I'm going to put them right outside the top 5 this year, and they're going in S tier. The Denver Broncos were projected to have at least 12 wins last season by a lot of sources, and they ended up with only an 8-9 record. I don't feel like this season is going to be any different. They have the worst graded offseason by a ton of sources, and their best offseason acquisition is Josh Reynolds. So I don't even have the Denver Broncos being any better than 7-10, especially after losing Russell Wilson to the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason. Arguably the favorite team in the NFL, the Detroit Lions, are next. This team finished with a 12-5 record and blew everyone out of the water by winning the NFC East. And good news for Detroit fans, they were pretty much able to keep together the whole team that they had from last season. So I'm going to have Detroit repeating the season that they had last year and finishing with around 11 or 12 wins and winning the NFC East once again. Next up, we have the Green Bay Packers, who pulled off a surprising upset in the divisional round of the playoffs last year. Now, I have them finishing around the same record this year, although they did lose Aaron Jones, but that's because they haven't really lost anyone besides him. So they kind of got the same team they had last year. And as long as Jordan Love stays where he's at or even performs a little bit better, I think they'll be around that playoff contention area, but I don't see them going anywhere past the first round like they did last year. Up next, we have the Houston Texans, who won the AFC South last year over the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have a huge upcoming star in CJ Stroud, who everyone knows about at this point, and then Will Anderson as well, who they also got in the first round last year. This team is not going to slow down any at all, and I've got them finishing with 11 wins going into this year and winning the AFC South once again. The Indianapolis Colts are next, and to be honest with you, they have made me scratch my head more than any other team this offseason. They just acquired Joe Flacco from the Cleveland Browns a couple days ago, and I was very surprised to see this. And although they finished with a mediocre 9-8 record last year, I feel like they'll probably end with a slightly worse record next season at around 7 wins. So they're going to get C tier from me, but honestly, who knows? It's the Colts. Now we're at the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is another team that is going to be based off of how their quarterback plays. Trevor Lawrence highly underperformed last season, which is why they had that pretty crappy 9-8 record. But if he can play at that MVP level, which he is extremely capable of, I could see them getting as many as 12 wins. We'll see how they do this year, but I'm going to have them around that B area at 10-7. Next up, we have your defending Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. And as long as Patrick Mahomes is leading this team, I don't see them being any worse than a top 5 team in the NFL. They'll make it to the AFC Championship once again this year, and we'll see if they win another Super Bowl. Next, we got the team who just forgot how to play defense last year in the LA Chargers. They would pretty much put up 40 points and then allow 48, and that's how their season went all year long. For this year, I have them finishing at just about the same record in 5-12. They may pull out 6 wins if they're lucky, but they haven't really addressed anything this offseason. They acquired Gus Edwards from the Ravens, and they acquired Hayden Hurst. Like, those are 2 offensive players, and they've done nothing on the defensive end to help themselves. Next, we got the LA Rams, who used an explosive second half of the season last year to jolt themselves into a divisional round playoff spot. Now, this year, unfortunately, they are not going to have star defensive tackle Aaron Donald anymore due to retirement, but that is not going to hurt their record. They're still going to hang around that 10-7, may even pull out an 11-6 record, but we'll see how they do this year, but I have very high hopes for the Rams this season. Next, we have the Las Vegas Raiders, who finished with a 8-9 record this last season, but unfortunately for this pick, I have them nosediving down in their record this season. They not only lost star running back Josh Jacobs, although he underperformed, he is still a huge acquisition that they no longer have. And second of all, their quarterback is Jimmy Garoppolo, and they don't have weapons for him. Like, they have nothing at all, and no real stars on the defensive end either. So I'm going to have the Raiders finishing with 4 or 5 wins this season. The Miami Dolphins have made some extremely smart moves this offseason, not only addressing the linebacker position by getting Shaquille Barrett, but also the safety position by acquiring Jordan Poyer. So, unfortunately for them, they are in the same division as the Buffalo Bills, so I don't have them finishing first, but I still have them as a top 5 team, and they're going to go in A tier right behind the Chiefs. The Vikings started out free agency with an absolute splash by acquiring Aaron Jones, but then they took a huge step back, and now they've got Sam Darnold as their starting quarterback instead of Kirk Cousins. Now, a lot of people are going to be going at me in the comments saying, Matthew, Kirk Cousins really is not that good. Buddy, let me just show you his stats from the last 5 years. Unfortunately, last year, Kirk had his injury, but other than that, he has been throwing at pretty much a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. That is absolutely huge. And then you compare that to Sam's records. And you could see in this same years that Sam Darnold has almost as many interceptions as he has touchdowns. That is not a good thing for the Vikings. With all that being said, I'm going to have Minnesota at C tier. We'll see if they can prove me wrong, but I doubt it. Next up, we got the New England Patriots. And after all the pain I've gone through as a Steelers fan with this team, and I know the Buffalo Bills fans will back me up on this as well, I not only think, but I hope the Patriots end up with a 3 or 4 win record going into the season. Nobody likes you. Next up, we got the New Orleans Saints, and as much as it pains me to say this because I really like the Saints, as long as they have Derek Carr at the helm, they are not going to be any better than a B tier. Derek Carr just underperforms, especially in big moments. And when you really only have Tyrann Mathieu on the defensive end, there's really not much you're going to be able to do. So I got the Saints getting around 7 wins this season. The New York Giants take the most confusing team title award away from the Indianapolis Colts, and they give it right to themselves. And here's exactly why. They had a great offseason acquisition in Brian Burns at linebacker and at Devin Singletary for running back. But the best they did at quarterback was Drew Lock. Like, I would rather have a bag of Skittles than Drew Lock at quarterback. Like, dude, you're already paying Daniel Jones, like, what was it, like $30-40 million a year. Just let him do his thing and let him mess up your team instead of signing a worthless piece of junk like Drew. Like, make it make sense, New York. You guys are going in the D tier for me, and you're having, like, I don't know, 4 wins this season. The Jets may not go all the way to the Super Bowl this year, but I will say this. Their team is very much improved and structured around Aaron Rodgers. As long as he can stay healthy, they signed left tackle Tyron Smith and wide receiver Mike Williams to help out a few others that they required this offseason. So, as long as everything goes according to plan and the Jets can stay pretty much injury free, I think they're going to end up with a 10-win season and probably one of the most improved teams in the NFL. The Philadelphia Eagles are ready to prove everyone wrong. The only question is, can they bring all the pieces together and execute? So, everybody already knows that they acquired running back Saquon Barkley, but they also got linebacker Devin White and defensive back CJ Gardner-Johnson as well. So that pretty much sums up their needs on the defensive end, and they're already good for offense with A.J. Brown and also Devontae Smith as well. So we'll see what the Eagles do this year, but we'll see what all the Eagles can do this year. I've got them right outside of my top 10, and they're going to go in my S tier. Next up, we got my boys, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was extremely happy about the offseason we had this year, and I don't believe it's going to make us a top 5 team in the NFL, but I do believe we are going to be a top 10 team, and I've got us at S tier going into the 2024 season. I got us finishing with around a 11-6 record, and people could say I'm biased, whatever, but I do not care. The Steelers are going to the playoffs this year, and we're finally going to get past the first round. The Seahawks didn't really do anything super fancy this offseason. They were able to get defensive tackle Leonard Williams and also linebacker Jerome Baker, but other than that, most of their capital that they spent was used beefing up the offensive line and giving protection for Geno Smith in the 2024 season. We will see exactly how the Seahawks do, but I'm going to have them right at the middle of the pack. They're probably around like the 13th best team in the NFL, but I'm going to have them at B tier. The 49ers were able to beef up their defense even more this season by signing Leonard Floyd, Devondre Campbell, and Malik Collins. But we'll see if it's good enough this year to possibly get them back to that Super Bowl run that they were on last year. Obviously, not much needs to be said. They are still an A-tier team, and we'll see how they do going into this 2024 season. The Buccaneers spent the majority of their offseason trying to re-sign Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans, but they were also able to beef up their secondary a good bit by signing cornerback Bryce Hall and safety Jordan Whitehead. Now, these aren't super big changes, so I don't have anything major happening to the Bucs next season, but I'm going to have them around that B tier again this year, and they'll probably finish with either a slightly better record or about the same as they did last year. But yeah, I got them at 10 wins this season. We'll see how they do. The Titans, unfortunately, didn't have a very good 2023 season at all, finishing with just a 6-11 record. But even though they lost running back Derrick Henry, they were able to sign Tony Pollard, Calvin Ridley, and Mason Rudolph for the offense this offseason. So we'll see how much better the Titans do, and I think they'll improve, but I don't think it's going to be by much. I've got them at C tier, and I've got them going 7-10 this 2024 season. And last but not least, the Washington Commanders. This was one of the worst teams in the NFL last year, so they went to the offseason as soon as they could to try to improve their team. They got running back Austin Eckler, who hopefully will be better this year compared to last year, linebacker Bobby Wagner, quarterback Marcus Mariota, tight end Zach Ertz, and also defensive end Dante Fowler. So we'll see what happens for the Commanders this season, but I still don't have them any better than 5 wins. They're still going at D tier. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you drop a like and comment down below what you thought about the video. And as always, peace out and God bless. I'll catch you guys in the next video. And never forget, every day is a good day. And let's go Steelers. Peace.